So guys, today I'm going to discuss another most important topic of M.Ed, Sociology of Education. This is your paper 2 under semester 2nd, right? Sociology of Education. So under this Sociology of Education, we will discuss first, we will discuss meaning of sociology. Second, meaning of education kya hai? Then what is the relationship between sociology and education? Then we will discuss about sociology of education, concept and meaning. फिर हम will discuss nature of sociology of education and scope of sociology of education, right? So first, I start with the meaning of sociology. Sociology, basically, it is derived from the two words. One is from Latin word and another is from the Greek word. Latin word societas, meaning society, and another word is the Greek word logos, meaning study. Hence, the meaning of sociology is science of study, right? Sociology is derived from the two word. This word sociology was first said by Auguste Comte, a French philosopher and regarded as a father of sociology, right, guys? And there is a one definition. Sociology is a science of society or a social phenomena. मतलब जो भी whatever you are looking in the society, social structures है, social buildings हैं, social phenomena है, ये सारा का सारा चीजें क्या है? It is a sociology. और sociology meaning क्या है? Basically it is a study of a science. We understand little bit more about the sociology. Sociology basically क्या चीज है? It is a discipline in social science. Social science का एक subject है, right? And it talks about the human society, right? B point indicates that sociology is the science of society. जितनी भी एक्चुअली सोसाइटी क्या चीज है? सोशल रिलेशनशिप्स हैं. तो इन सारी सोसाइटी को स्टडी करना, दिस इज कॉल्ड सोशियोलॉजी. सोशियोलॉजी इज द साइंस ऑफ ए सोशल रिलेशनशिप. अनदर व्यू दैट सोशियोलॉजी इज द स्टडी ऑफ सोशल लाइफ. सोशियोलॉजी इज द स्टडी ऑफ ए ह्यूमन बिहेवियर्स इन द ग्रुप. सोशियोलॉजी इज द स्टडी ऑफ सोशल एक्शन. तो ये सारा का सारा, these all 5 or 6 things that comes under sociology. Even that man becomes a social animal only when he enters into the social relationship, right guys? So therefore, in studying sociology, we are in fact studying social relationship in one form or other, right? And what is the subject matter of the sociology? The subject matter of the sociology is society, not the individual. Okay, when we talk about the individual, then we are talking about the psychology. But here, the subject matter is society. We are talking about sociology, right? So in a very simple word, we discuss sociology basically kya cheez hai? Sociology is a science of society. It studies the society, how the society is changing from one generation to another generation. So these all things are done by the sociology, right? Now we discuss about education. Here we discuss about education from sociologist point of view, right guys? So you always have to remember there are two functions of education by the sociologist. Okay, क्या क्या functions होते हैं education के? Number one is the function of education is to socialize the child, right? मतलब to make cultured the child, to make well behaved in the child, to make civilized the child. And second function is that transmit the culture from one generations to another, right? There are two main functions of education. One is socialize the member of the society, and second is transmit the culture from one generations to another generation. These two are functions of educations according to the sociologist, right guys? And now instead of this, schools and colleges, that what is a school and colleges? School and colleges is a educational institution, but actually school and colleges are the social institutions. Okay, जो क्या करते हैं? What they do? They socialize the child, they socialize the member of the society, they make the person civilized, cultured, and well behaved, okay, with the help of these social institutions, schools and colleges. But instead of that, school and colleges, there are some other agencies which socialize the child, okay. What are the name of those agencies? Community, okay. You get, civilized, cultured, educated through the community also. Family, you know know that, you have heard that parents are the first teacher. So in a family, maybe what is happening, family is also socializing the child. Family is also making cultured, civilized the child. And another is peer group and formal educational institutions, school and colleges, okay. So guys, here you have to remember, instead of a school and colleges, there are some other institutions, there are some other social institutions which socialize the child. And the name of these agencies are community, family, church, mosque, temples, gurdwaras. These are also social agencies which socialize the child, right? Durkheim, according to the Durkheim, Emile Durkheim has said that education is the socializations of the younger generation. You always have to remember, because Emile Durkheim, the contribution of the Emile Durkheim is in your, this paper 2. So according to the Emile Durkheim, education is the socializations of the younger generations. Okay. So now we have done with the socialization, sociology. We are done with the education. Next, we discuss about what is the relationship between sociology and education. Right, guys? What is the relationship between sociology and education? So, sociology is the science of society, right? We have just discussed, and education is the implicit aspect of any social system, right? Remember, education is always an implicit aspect, means hidden aspect. The purpose of education is to transmit this, what is happening in the society, right? Next is the next relationship is the prime concern of sociology is socialized individual, and education is the means for achieving the goals of sociology, right? Third up, देखिए bullet, this is the most important. Education is the laboratory and workshop of the sociology, right, guys? Sociology studies the structure and functions of social system, while education is one of the important function of any social system, right? Next relationship is that sociology develops the laws and principles which are adopted by the educational system for its improvement, okay. And last relationship is that education preserves the social and cultural heritage which is owned by the sociology, right, guys? So these are some of the points of relationship between sociology of education. And in a simple language, you have to understand whatever is happening in the society, whatever is, alteration in the society, the function of education is to achieve whatever is happening under society, right? This is the relationship of sociology and education. Now we discuss about sociology of education. This is the most important. Sociology of education, okay. Remember the word sociology of education. Sociology of education is defined as a study of relations between education and society, right? Means what is happening in the educational institutions and what is happening in the society. Sociology of education is a such kind of a subject which studies these things, right, guys? And as well as it focus its attention on understanding how the institution of education function in relations to other social institutions in society, right? Okay, I explain you. Suppose I have just given you the example. School is a social institution. Church is also a social institution. Mosque, temple is also a social institution. So what kind of a study, what kind of a education is giving into the school, into the mosque, into the church? So sociology of education compares such kind of education, and as well as it also compares how the one social institutions affects on the other social institution. This is another work of the sociology of education, right? Fourth वाला point देखिए, it is study of how public institutions and individual experiences affect education and its outcome, right guys? And we conclude that sociology of education therefore may be explained as a scientific analysis of social processes and social patterns involved in the education system, right guys? Next we discuss about need to study sociology of education. Okay, once you know this concept is clear to you, what is the need to study sociology of education, the concept of a sociology of education would be more clear to you. Okay, what is the need of study sociology of education? Okay, your paper 2, semester 2nd, sociology of education. Sociology of education helps in understanding work of a school and teacher and its relation to society, social progress and development. Okay, means whether schools and colleges, what is the functions of a school and colleges to socialize the child, whether they are meeting these functions or not. Okay, it studies the role of a schools in socializations of the student. Okay, so the another nature of sociology of education क्या है इसका, कि it studies the school is socializing the child or not. कहीं ऐसा तो नहीं है कुछ और चीजें पढ़ा रहा है स्कूल, right? Some other type of education is given by the school. Okay, but what is the main function of a schools? Why the schools and colleges have come into existence? The meaning, the purpose of a school and education is to socialize the child first. Socialize the child first means what is happening in the society, the child should be aware of that. So sociology of education is a such kind of a subject which studies that whether schools and colleges, they are completing their duty or not, right? As well as effect of social element on the working of a school and society. फोर्थ वाला पॉइंट देखिए, मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट है, कंस्ट्रक्शन ऑफ करिकुलम इन रिलेशंस टू द cultural and economic needs of the society, right? Means the another nature of sociology of education is to confirm that, verify that, or study that whether the curriculum means syllabus, whatever the syllabus in the schools and colleges, it is meeting the cultural and economic need of the society or not, right? As well as democratic ideologies present in different countries, need for understanding and promoting international culture, need for promotion of social adjustment, the effect of social groups, their interrelations and dynamics on individuals, right? So these are the nature of sociology of education. In a simple terms, okay, we understand sociology of education, it compares that, it studies that whether schools and colleges, whatever their function is, that whether they are completing that functions or not, whatever the syllabus is, uh, teaching, studying in the schools and colleges, that syllabus is according to the need of the hour or not, right? Whether schools and colleges, they are promoting national integrations or not, whether schools and colleges promoting international understanding or not, whether schools and colleges promoting social adjustment or not. These all are the functions of the sociology of education, right guys? Next we discuss scope of sociology of education, nature of sociology of education, and then we will discuss scope of sociology of education, right? Nature. In the nature, first of all, you have to understand sociology of education is a branch of sociology, right? Analysis the institutions and organizations of education, right? Sociology of education deals with relationship between education and other institutions of society. I have just discussed, right? Like family, economy, religion, and politics, right, guys? Next one is sociology of education deals with relationship between education and society as a whole. Okay, this also I have discussed. Next, nature, it studies education as an agent of transmission of culture. Yes, you have to remember. You always remember. Okay, we are teachers. Okay, we are basically agents. What we are? We are agents. Agents of socialization, right? What are the schools and colleges? Schools and colleges are socializing agencies, agencies of socialization. These are called. And what are the agents? Teachers are the agents of socializing the child. So it studies education as an agent of transmission of culture. What the education does? Education transmits the culture from one generation to another generations, according to the sociologist, right? Next nature क्या है? What is the nature of sociology of education? It analyzes the institutions and organizations of education discussed. It studies the role of school in socializations of the students already discussed. Sociology of education stresses upon the social importance of education. Yes, this is an important nature of sociology of education. Sociology of education, the last one, nature of sociology of education. Sociology of education stresses upon the social importance of education. Right, guys? Now we conclude. Hence, sociology of education does focus its attention on understanding how institution of education functions in relations to other institutions in society. Right, guys? In starting, I have discussed, I have elaborated that, right? And under the nature of a sociology of education, these all points are given, right, guys? अब हम बात करते हैं. Now we talk, last subheading of sociology of education, which is scope of sociology of education. So guys, scope of sociology of education is very vast. Okay, we will understand what comes under scope of sociology of education. Scope of sociology of education is vast. It is concerned with such general concepts such as society. Means scope of sociology of education includes society. Next, scope of sociology of education includes culture. Scope of sociology of education includes community, class, environment, socialization, cultural lag, subculture, status, role, and so on. These all things you have to remember, and you should know that what is the society, what is the culture, what is community, what is class, what is environment, what is socialization, what is a cultural lag. Last time, one questions came, what is cultural lag, subculture, status. So these all things comes under the scope of sociology of education, which we will discuss in detail in the coming chapters. Here we have to write that these all things that comes under scope of sociology of education, right, guys? Next, scope of sociology of education: analysis of educational institutions in various geographical and ethnological context, right? Means, for example, see the example, ki educational institutions in rural and urban and tribal areas in different parts of the country with the background of the different races, culture, and so on, right? Comparison करती है sociology of education. I have explained in my starting. Next क्या है scope? It helps us to understand the effectiveness of different educational methods in teaching students with different kind of intelligence. Yes, this is the important. You have to understand being of a teacher. क्या करता है? What does scope of sociology of education includes? It helps us understanding the effectiveness of a different educational methods in teaching students with different kind of intelligence. Okay, so being of a teacher, you not only have to be psychologist, not only have to be philosopher, you have to be sociologist to understand your concept to the students, right? Next, to understand the effect of various social agencies like family, school on the student. Okay, sociology of education क्या करता है? Sociology of education, it also studies that instead of a school and colleges, other agencies of socialization, which is a family, which is a community, how they affect on the students, okay, whether they are affecting in a positive way or not, it studies by the sociology of education. That comes under scope of sociology of education. Next, studies the role and structure of school, peer group on personality of the student, right? And it studies the role of schools in socializations of the student. It suggests way to develop national integrations, international understanding, spirit of a scientific temper, globalizations among the students. So these all the points that comes under sociology, scope of sociology of educations. In a simple terms, I just explained to you within a 1 minute what the scope of sociology of education includes. Basically, under the scope of a sociology of education, it includes society, it includes culture, cultural lag, different type of a social structures, right? Sociology of education, scope of sociology of education, it also includes that the teacher has to teach with the sociological methods so that things should be clear to the students. Sociology of education, it also compares that. What it compares that, suppose one education is given by the church, mosque ya gurdwara, okay, another education is given by the Punjab school affiliated with Punjab School Education Board, CBSE board, right? How these two type of education affects the student, they check that, okay, right? And promoting the national integrations, international understanding, spirit of a scientific temper, these all comes under the scope of sociology of education, right guys? So I'm done with your first topic, sociology of education. So under the sociology of educations, we have done the sociology, meaning of a sociology, meaning of education, what is the relationship between the sociology and education. After that, we discuss about sociology of education, nature and scope. Right, guys? Now we see that what type of a questions will come in our exams. I have written that. I have made a one slide also. As far as you can write on your notebook, if you have the pen or notebook in your place, okay, you can, note down the questions. In a long questions, the questions can come. What is the meaning of sociology of education? Define it. Right, guys? So in this questions, you have to define sociology of education, right? One or two definition of sociology of education, then nature of sociology of education, then scope of sociology of education, and in last, you have to define conclusion, right? This is the meaning of sociology of education. Define it of 10 marks question, right? Another kind of a question, it can come, define, yeah, examiner can put it, define sociology of education, explain its natures and scope in detail. The same thing, okay, you have write, which you have to write in a paper, question one. And in a short question can come, nature of sociology of education. So under the nature of sociology of education, you have to define all the nature of sociology of education. And in fact, if you want to give, to you can give one or two definitions, right? To get a full marks of 3 marks, right? Okay. And another questions comes from this topic. Explain relationship between sociology and education. So under the relationship, you can explain 5 or 6 points. The purpose of sociology is this, and the purpose of education is this. Right, guys? Thank you so much. Yes, guys. So you can put your audio on, all of you. All of you, you can put your audio on.